Hey, I'm Ashley Greene. I play Renata in Some Other Woman, and you are watching Pop Culture with Kat.
Hey guys, welcome back to Pop Culture with Pat. So I am so excited to be joined by today's guest. Today I'm talking to Ashley Greene. We're talking about her new film, Some Other Woman. Thank you so much for coming on the show today, Ashley.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
You are very welcome. And just as a heads up, might be some spoilers in the interview. I just want to give people a heads up, before going into this. So make sure you check out the film. But just to start things off, this is a movie that you definitely have to pay attention to. And I think it leaves things open for interpretation, which I always think is really fun as an audience member. So I'm curious for you, Ashley, when
Mhm.
you got the script for the first time and you were reading it, just what were kind of some of your initial reactions to it?
I had to reread it about three times.
That's fair.
To I think the script was harder to wrap my head around than what you see on the screen. I think when you have visual cues, it's a lot easier to kind of understand. And because it is up to you to kind of decide a lot of these things and make your own choices on, which I absolutely love. I read it and said, okay, let me look at this again, and then had a conversation with Joel Moore, the director, and kind of said, okay, this is what I think, this is what I took from it, and he discussed what he took from it, and it was a really fun process because there's a lot of opportunity to really kind of shape these characters and shape what the narrative is here versus it being kind of laid out A, B, and C in front of you. And so I thought it was a really cool process as an actor to be able to tackle, and I think it's a really cool thing for an audience to be able to see something and make their own decisions based on their life experiences and have conversations with other people past the point of watching the film.
And what resonated you with the character? Because initially, when we first meet her, she's really kind of a mystery. We don't know anything about her until later on in the film. So, what resonated with you to be a part of this story?
Yeah, I think the opportunity to really take on multiple sides of a female character. I think so often there's a box that people like to put women into, and this very clearly allows you to step outside of that box and to kind of transform between one version of a person to another version of a person, which that is what we are as human beings. We are never just one thing, and to be able to kind of really, I think, be fluid in between the different versions that you see of her was something that was really exciting to me. And again, I think as an actress, it gives you a lot of opportunity to really play and create. And I think it also hopefully sends a message to people again that there's a multitude of things going on in one person's life at any given time. And so one version of them that you see is certainly not the entire picture.
And the location is almost a character in of itself in this film. I feel like initially, when the film opens up, it seems like this perfect place. And I imagine filming there was probably kind of the same thing and just a beautiful location. But it seems like this perfect place, but you kind of get the feeling that something just has to be off about this place. So can you talk about filming on the island and just tapping into some of those elements?
Yeah, it's almost too perfect, which again generally seems to be the case in real life, art imitating life at its finest. It was really beautiful to film there. We filmed this in the middle of COVID, and so to be somewhere like the Cayman Islands where COVID didn't exist, they didn't have one case there. They were really strict about who came in and who came out in the quarantine procedures. It was kind of incredible, but it was an odd thing. You got to go to work and you were in this beautiful space, and then you would come home and you would talk to people back home, and it really kind of drug you back down to the reality of what was happening all around us. And I certainly think that there's parallels into the film in that as well. Like, you are in this incredibly beautiful place and it looks picturesque and picture perfect, but once again, everything that is on the surface is not necessarily what's going on beneath the surface. And so I think you got to kind of see that play out in the film, and something that is so perfect and beautiful for one human being is the detriment to another human being. And I think you kind of get to see that with Eve, that she is in this incredibly beautiful place, and her husband is, I think, living out his dreams and his passions, but does that really align with what she wants in life?
Yeah.
And I absolutely don't think it does. It's so funny to me because it really is like you can put up pictures of four different places and go, what is your dream place? And four different people could answer four different ways. And like I feel this way about when someone says, "Oh, this is so beautiful in the snow." I'm like, I would be so miserable. I would be absolutely miserable. And so, you certainly see that very clearly in this film.
Yeah, no, that's the beautiful thing about art and specifically movies. It's just everyone has kind of their own interpretation of it. And speaking of Eve, played by Amanda Crew, you guys share a complicated relationship in the film, we'll just kind of say. And can you talk about working with her? There's some emotional scenes, there's some physical scenes that you guys share. What was it like
Mhm.
going toe to toe with her in this movie?
It was wonderful. She and I connected very early on, and made it really clear that we were in each other's corner. I think in this film, we are kind of pitted against each other, and we made it very clear from the jump that we wouldn't do that in real life. I think there's such a history of women being pitted against one another that's really nasty. And so it was nice to go into this knowing that like she had my back, I had her back, and we were absolutely each other's cheerleaders. And so it created a really safe space to be able to dive into these scenes that were really emotionally and physically taxing. But it was great because we would do them and it would be insane. And then you get done and be like, you were so fucking good. Oh my God, you were so great.
That's
It was
awesome.
nice to have those things because it is, those days can be really long and they can really take a toll on you. And I think if you're not careful, they do kind of stick with you. And so it was nice to be able to come right out of those things.
And I had Amanda on the show and we were talking about the film and she was just saying how getting to work with you that you were just such a champ, like you would be done with the take and you were just, yeah, I'm ready to go do the next one. She's like, how the heck are you doing this?
Yeah, I'm a crazy person. Yeah, I think it took me a long time, but I figured out a way to be able to jump in and out of things because I had times where I would stay so fully in those characters, and it really does take a toll on you. I mean, and it really speaks to, I think, what these women are going through in this film, because that is their reality. That it really made me have so much empathy for these characters. But yeah, like Amanda was awesome to work with, and Tom, and honestly, and Joel David Moore is one of my dearest friends, and we've known each other for eons. And so it was all you really want as an actress or an actor is to have a safe space to be able to explore and to be able to take risks, especially with something as wild and crazy as Some Other Woman. And I think he absolutely created a space for us to be able to do that.
And I'm sure it probably helps too having a director who comes from an acting background. So I'm not
Oh,
sure, have you had the chance to work with directors in the past that have been actors, or was this kind of the first time doing that?
yeah, this so I'm gonna end up watching this and being like, no. But then I can
We won't
remember.
hold it to you.
Yeah,
I like
but
talking.
just blame it on mom brain. But yeah, it is a really important and really wonderful thing to have an actor as a director. I think, at least in my experience, because to understand how our brains work and to understand how to communicate exactly what you are looking for, I think is a special skill set as a director. And you certainly, and I've heard other people say this too, that you certainly see that more if someone has been in your shoes.
Yeah.
Similar to life, right? Like if someone has been in that position, they can much easier understand what you were going through and how to pull you out of it, or how to create a safe zone for you. So yeah,
Exactly.
it was really great.
Yeah. And speaking of, you mentioned Tom. Now, it's interesting because his character, he plays the same character, but he almost kind of plays two characters, I feel like, in the film. So,
Mm-hmm.
what was it like kind of developing that dynamic with his character? And what is something that Tom brings as an actor that you really appreciate as a fellow actor, as a scene partner?
I think a couple of things. I think he has a subtlety to it that doesn't like I appreciate the fact that he could kind of play within these two versions of himself without there being like this clear definitive line. And I don't think that's an easy thing to be able to do. And I think he did it really effortlessly and pretty flawlessly. And I think as a human being, again, like I feel very lucky to have worked with them both, because I think he's fearless in the way that he performs. And I think that's something that we all aspire to be, where he kind of just shows up and goes, okay, I'm going to try this, I'm going to try this, I'm going to do this. And it creates a really fun environment to be able to play off of.
Now I have to ask you, are you, because we're karaoke music is kind of a big thing in this film. Do you have a go-to karaoke song?
God, no, I did not on that. Joel was like, so you're going to sing. And I was like, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. And I did. I am not a karaoke
I
queen.
think you
I will
sounded great.
hear people things, but it was terrifying. It's like one of those things that I think is on the list to tackle where you should do things that really scare you and terrify you and put you outside your box. But yeah, no, I'm not I feel like Spice Girls is like probably the go-to, but I will be the one cheering people on. I'll be singing in the background. I will dance for you all day, but don't ask me to be the lead singer.
I'm right there with you. I'm not one that's going to get up there and do karaoke, so I'm right there with you. Actually, I
There's
totally.
like two types of actors, right? Where like there's the ones that are like actually kind of like more introverted and a little bit more shy, and then there's the ones that are just like so extroverted and so out there. And I fall into the first category, absolutely.
Yep, yeah, no, I hear you. And now, you also like Tom, you come from a big franchise. You did Twilight to start off your career. Is there anything that you've taken from that, your initial journey, starting off with a big film like that, and kind of brought to all your other projects, including a film like this, Some Other Woman?
God, I mean, I think everything because it was my first real job, which is so bananas to say, that I learned how sets operate. And I think understood how many different departments and how large these things can be and how it takes every piece of the puzzle to actually make something good. When I tell people, oh, yeah, that fight scene we did took 3 weeks to shoot, they think that I'm crazy, but it really did. I got an understanding of just how small my piece of the puzzle is. And I think that's humbling in some sort because you get on set sometimes and you're the actor and they cater to you. But when you really look at it, like I can come in and I do my job to the best of my ability, but there's so much more that goes into it. And so it gave me kind of I think a curiosity around everyone in their departments and what they're doing, what their input is.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. Looking in from the outside, you don't really realize it. I've been an extra on a couple films myself, and so you're there for a day, and yeah, you can be shooting like 12, 13, 14 hours, and that could just be
Sure.
you could be doing for one little scene that's like 10 seconds or something in the movie, and it's crazy.
And you have to, I mean, and that's why you have to learn, I feel like, to take yourself out of it because it's exhausting. Like if
Yeah,
you're doing this scene 16 to 26 times, you have to then I think also understand, like I'm always like, when's my close? When are we doing this? What is the, how much of this wide are we going to use realistically?
yeah.
Because I think it is, you've got to think about self-preservation. You don't want to, at a certain place, your body stops responding. And so I think I had to learn pretty quickly, how to be able to pull in and pull out.
Yeah, no, that's very important. Well, hey Ashley, I just want to say thank you so much for your time today. It was great getting to talk to you. The film was a lot of fun, so make sure you guys check it out. It's on video on demand now. And yeah, you are welcome back anytime in the future.
Thank you so much. You've been so wonderful. Hey, I'm Ashley Greene. I play Renata in Some Other Woman, and you are watching Pop Culture with Kat.